Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Barry Erickson and I'm Community Engagement Coordinator at Wheaton Public Library. Tonight, we are delighted to bring you Running for Fun and Success. Naperville Running Company's Caroline Yasuda has strategies for all runners, new, seasoned, and those needing a reboot. We will learn the tools we need to achieve our running goals, how to keep motivation strong, and how to include a warm-up and cool down in our routine. Caroline Yasuda has been working with Naperville Running Company for over 10 years. Caroline works inside the store and also as their community engagement coordinator. With 15 years as a running coach, Caroline is a level 2 certified distance running coach through Road Runners Club of America and a level 1 certified USA track and field coach. Caroline started a running club at the 95th Street YMCA in Naperville 12 years ago, which is still going strong. She's a highly experienced runner and triathlete competing in marathons, half marathons, ultra marathons, full and half iron competitions, as well as many shorter races. With so much expertise and important information to provide to us tonight, Caroline, thank you so much for being here, and we're anxious to turn the microphone over to you.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you. It's one of my first doing a live presentation, but not being able to see people. If anybody knows me, you know I love to be with people. You could say that my nickname is Coach Happy, because that's one thing about running is that you never want that happy to leave. So if you're starting, you're rebooting, you're maybe getting frustrated because you haven't been able to hit that goal that you want to hit, there's so many things that are going on and that can go on. So let's get started about talking about fun and success, and please do send your questions in. I like this thing is that motivation is what gets you started. Inspiration gets you started because most likely there's somebody who's inspired you, somebody who continues to inspire you, and you feed off of each other. You have that motivation. But what keeps you going? Making it a habit is what keeps you going. So in order to keep that habit going, we need to make sure that we're still having fun, that we're seeing successes. And so without really knowing where each of you are from that are listening tonight, which thank you for being here, I'm just going to kind of like start at the starting line. And you're like, well, I'm not at the starting line. Well, the starting line is the day that motivation and that inspiration starts. So it's kind of like day one. What am I going to do? What do I need? I want to say start next week or get going. One thing that I always say when people say, how do I get going, is I ask them if they've ever been fit for a pair of shoes. And the reason I say that is because I learned that myself when I started running in my mid-30s. I thought you just pull out a pair of shoes, you just go. I started to do a 5K for a friend whose niece was battling a really serious illness. And so we went to go do that 5K. Oh my goodness, our feet never hurt so much. Kind of fast forward, I was living in Seattle and I learned what being fit for running shoes was. So I encourage you, first and foremost, if you've never been fit for running shoes, definitely need to have some happy feet. So get fit for running shoes, because I have this little visual to show you, which is, this is your foot. These are all the little bones inside your foot. Every time you foot strike, you land on one foot. So you have those 24 bones that are in there, and you're asking them to completely hold you up. So that's where it all starts. So you have that ground force impact. So if you have tried starting running and you're like, but my feet always hurt me, check out your local running store. And so there is Naperville Running Company, which is where I work and have worked. And don't think that you have to have run races and done all this other kind of stuff. Come in, the staff will help you. So running shoes, making sure you're in the right socks, making sure that you just have those basic things to get started with. And so that's like the first thing. Then you've got a goal. What's that goal? Maybe you're starting off and you're like, I want to get back into racing. So you've set a goal to go run a 5K. So you've got that goal. You set that goal, you have your little measures, and you want to make sure you put in rewards. So maybe your first reward is that I need to make sure that I invest, and I'm going to go get myself, I'm going to get started with the shoes, or I'm going to get started with looking for a race. And so that's what you're going to want to start doing as in you're getting going. Let's say that you had some races last year and they're rolling over and you're like, I haven't even gotten started yet. I don't even know where I am going to begin, and I need to get that motivation. Reconnect with some of the people, just kind of like asking. I mean, there's just different, everything's a little different. So how you're going to be able to do that, that's completely individual. But there are great ways to just find motivation that's out there. The other thing that's important is that you want to have a plan as into staying safe, because part of success is staying safe. So we need to be visible when we're out there, because some of you may need to go running early in the morning. Some of you may need to go run after work. Some of you are going to be running during the day, but you always want to make sure that you have multiple points of visibility on you. Think 360 degrees. It's because you want to help the drivers see and recognize who you are. So I always say something in the front up here, something in the back here, and maybe something on the side, that you have. So it's like up here, around your ankle, on your arms, and you can put like reflective duct tape. There are little clips that you can get. There's all different ways that you can stay reflective. Reflective vests, you've seen those things that cross over, or just little vests. They can be seen 1,200 feet away at night or when it's dark out. So they are a great thing to have. They're all different sizes and shapes and different ways to be able to wear that vest, and very, very lightweight. So I would say that. One thing that's super, super important to know is between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. is when most pedestrian type accidents happen. So it's still very, 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 very important to have that visibility plan that people can see you. And unfortunately, during the winter, a lot of clothes, running clothes, especially when they're winter and it's cold, it's all very dark colors. So we need to make sure that we can have light and be reflective. The other thing that's super important is when you're getting out there and you're running is that you are aware of cars, bikes, everything out there. Just make sure that you have eye contact with whoever is there. When you're at a corner, you're getting ready to cross the road, you just want to make sure that you always have eye contact before you cross, even if you think you have the right of way. So please make sure that you do that. The other thing that when you're looking for a goal, it doesn't necessarily have to be a race. Let's say you're just getting ready to get started running and you're thinking, do I go by miles? Do I go by time? How do I do it? Think about your neighborhood. Think about where you live. Think about if there's a path that's by you. Give yourself like marginal goals of what it is that you want to be able to do, and then get out there and set those goals for you. There is no shame in running and walking as you are building up your endurance. And I think for whether you are a new runner, whether you're a seasoned runner, whether you are especially if you're someone who's maybe is coming off of an injury, we've got to make sure that we start slow. So be realistic and think of how can I stay consistent and how am I going to do that? So you want to work on building your stamina. You want to think about what is the best way for me to do that. that. So again, going on that marginal goal, maybe it is that, you know what, I'm going to go to the elementary school that I know is like a mile away from my house. I'm going to work on that in, 3 weeks. I'm going to be able to get to the elementary school, and I'm going to do a run walk there, and then maybe it's a power walk all the way back, especially if you're new to running. How can you do being success? What are ways that you can play games? Maybe after you've done it a couple of times, you're like, okay, every time I see a dog that maybe, because weather's getting better now, spring or something's coming up, I see that dog, I'm going to kind of do a little quicker pace just so I can find out what does it feel like when I'm going faster without exhausting myself. So many times I hear people going, well, I get out there, I start running, and then it's so hard, and then I get frustrated and I want to stop. Well, that's because you might have just taken off way too fast, and so you're going too hard. So you want to think about what are ways, like, don't forget about when we were children and we would go out and we would play and we would run and then we would jump. And so you can do different things like that when you're getting around, maybe a neat song comes on that you really like. And so to kind of like change up your foot strikes a little bit, you could do a little lateral shuffle to the left, a little lateral shuffle to the right, work on a little quicker feet, feeling light and doing, and kind of do that. Maybe spin around a tree, and then start running off, just to switch it up, to make it fun, to make something different. I always think it's such a great way to kind of, be able to see like what's happening, because I think when we go out and you're thinking like, well, maybe I don't want to go out for a run, motivation can happen when we don't even expect it. So I always say, well, you may not feel like, if you're following a plan, if it's the Couch to 5K, if you're getting started back in a marathon training plan, and you're thinking, I really don't feel like I want to get out there and start going, well, you know what? Go out for 5 to 10 minutes and go out and walk, and then pick up your pace and start running, and then just turn around, see how you feel. Hey, you might be rejuvenated. Now you're going to go the opposite way, and you're going to maybe go 15 minutes and come back. And then there you are, success. You've done something. And so you're feeling motivated. You put a smiley face on that day, and everything is great of where you're going. The other thing too is that we have to be totally realistic. I mean, again, keeping the fun, making sure that we have success, but everything in life works in with running. And I'm like, running helps us. It helps us to think. It helps us to create ideas. It helps us just to have emptiness and maybe just listening to the outside, whatever it is. But we also have work, we have family, we have our hobbies, we have so many other things that can come into play. So we have to be realistic so that we can remain consistent with our running. We don't want to just stop and then all of a sudden think, well, I didn't run all week, so I'm going to run on the weekend and I'm going to make up stuff. That's not going to be success. And that's not going to make you happy. So you want to think about ways to create that success, create that fun, and also think about how you want to figure out what your pace is. There's a happy pace, there's a conversational pace, there is a steady pace, there is a strong pace. How do you feel when you're doing that? And that needs to be a part of your runs. Sometimes we can make our runs all be the same, and then there's not a lot of fun in there. And then sometimes you're thinking, but I want to try and get a little faster. I want to try and get a little stronger. So then we need to kind of create and switch different things up. So make sure, think of it like an experiment on how you feel. What is it that you want to do? But you got to be patient and you got to pay attention. And again, you got to be happy. So thinking about how you can have fun in doing that. So again, it is look at different places to run. Think about if you've got running buddies and you guys all kind of like live somewhat together, you could almost make it like a relay, of what you're doing when you get to that person. And so you can create fun ways to do group runs or to meet people and to connect. And you can also, just have some fun of sprinting with friends. You can be at one mailbox, they can be at the other, and you can, try to see who's going to get to the next one, or you're going to get in the middle and you're going to do kind of like a high five or go around. There's different things that you can create and to kind of go just to keep that running, especially as you're getting back into running. Don't be like, okay, I have to do 3 miles today. I have to do 4, I have to do 5, especially if you're getting back into it. Don't think about where you were a year ago or where you were 6 months ago or what it was. Think about where you are now and how you're going to make that turn now into the success that you want later. So make sure you're doing that. There's so many different ways that you can do that. We talk about wanting to bring in some cross training and some it doesn't have to be really hard. I love to do like the different band work. So band work is really great strength stuff, and you can actually use these as a warm up before your run. Is to do some of the warm-up exercises. You can put these around your ankle and kick out left and right. You can do like little monster walks, forward, backwards, side to side. You can warm up. You can put these around your knees, do a wall sit, and you can just kind of like march, get yourself up. Mountain climbers is a great way to warm up and to do that, just to activate and get yourself warming up is super important, even if it is just going and like power walking and then maybe doing some hip circles. And like I said, do some big skipping, do some, you could do some, fast up and downs on a curb, and just get yourself going. Especially if you're in the middle of a run and you're, feeling like you're a little tight, you're not feeling smooth and consistent, switch it up a little bit, walk, take a little break, and then just regroup. Think about your breathing. Think about just the pace. Is it smooth? Is it steady? That's what you want to do. Sometimes you just need to put, especially if you're one who loves technology, sometimes you just need to put the watch away or turn it upside down and just go and have a good time. And that's a wonderful thing to do. And I highly recommend, I call it running naked. So just leave the watch, just have a point, go out and come back, do a little something, and you're gonna feel, really encouraged of what you're doing and keeping it fresh. That's really what, running and keeping running is a lifetime achievement. We want to be doing this all the time. And there's so many people who have inspired us in so many different ages, from little ones to, our seniors, to our peers. It's just great to see how running can do that, and how we can cross train. Again, you can use the bands. You can use these little bands to do a lot of weight work. It could be just, around. those are all really, really important things, to be able to do, simple like push-ups, doing some planks. You can use your stairs. You can find things to do. You can also make it really fun and success is if you have a park as the, parks start to open up a little bit more, is that you could run to your local park and you could use like the swings. So it's a stable, unstable surface, and you could hold plank. You've got to engage that gear, that core, and you could hold plank on a swing. You can, use the stairs at a park and go up and down. You can use the stairs to do some step ups, for your strength. You can do lunges, up to the stairs. You can, try and do push-ups, on a bench. You can, whoops. You can use a slide, and you can bear crawl up the slide and then go back down. There's so many different ways that you can do. You can also use from point to point. You can just do little sprints that are there around the park. So there's different things that you should be able to do to use. I don't know if there's any questions or anything that anybody has.
There aren't any in the Q&A yet, but I will use this opportunity just to remind people to pop open that Q&A window so that you can ask any questions. Something that came to mind for me, Caroline, is should you run at the same time every day?
So, I mean, that again, that is individual. If you are getting ready, so here it is. This is a good question for people who do races. If you do a marathon or a half marathon or anything that's going to say be longer than like a 10K or whatever, I encourage you to think about the starting time of that race. So many of us, especially during the summer and the spring, want to get out at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun gets up. And of course, safety is first or in the time, but a lot of us aren't finishing a marathon by 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. A lot of people might be finishing later on in the day. So it's a good thing to prepare your body to run at different times, especially if you are preparing for a long distance race. I would encourage you to start your longer runs during the time that that the race is going to start. Definitely.
Okay, great. And now we've got a couple questions coming. How have you stayed motivated during the pandemic?
So, how have I stayed motivated? So I think what's helped me to stay motivated is it's allowed me to be able to get outside. While it's all been on my own, I'm one of those ones that enjoys training over racing. So staying fit and being just healthy has been one thing that has kept me motivated is that, stay what I know has always worked for me, which is running and staying fit and healthy has kept me healthy. So I think during this time of uncertainty and really not sure of everything, how it, I think it's just helped me to be able to stay that way. I've registered for a few, virtual races just to have little benchmarks and rewards to go and do them on my own. But I've also used this time as to what do I not pay attention to a lot, and which is strength training sometimes. So especially when you get used to doing so much running. So I've worked on trying to create more of a balance, and that's just really helped to keep me motivated. So, and plus when, it's time to start racing again, I want to be able to get out there and race because I call that celebration. day when you get out there and see so many different people. It will probably be a little different, I would assume, but we'll still be able to see other people and cheer for them and encourage them on.
Okay, well, we want you to be able to finish your presentation, but let me take one more question now, and then we'll save a couple more for later.
Okay.
What do you recommend if a person feels really short of breath? Should they run shorter or for a more brief period of time?
That brings me back to pacing. So, I mean, without, understanding any kind of medical or whatever, but when I talked about working on, stamina and proper pacing, that's something that's really important. Breathing from your belly, taking it out of your chest. So are you taking long enough breaths or are you taking short breaths? So let's say that you go out and you're running. Where do you feel when you stop running, do you feel your chest going? Or can you feel like from your breath? If it's all in your chest when you're running, you're not taking long enough breaths. You want to be able to breathe from the belly. So that is something that's really important. And when you're running, there's only a few times that you should really go so fast that you can't be breathing. I always say, even when you're going fast, it should be a controlled, smooth breath. So that's where I said, work on pacing, start experimenting with the different ones and kind of like know how you feel. Like we have like long runs, another great way to kind of work on that, which I was going to talk about is some different workouts is you could do a progressive run, which is helping your body to adapt to, building your pace over the course of a time. So start slower, finish a little faster. Maybe sometimes you start too fast and you need to work on how do I bring myself back in. So that's something that, you can do is work on those progressive runs. Another thing for warming up and like cooling down is we talk about strides. Strides are very short little runs that can be done before or after a workout, and they become faster in pace. So the first one might be a little easier, then you can get a little quicker with the second one and a little quicker with the third one. And then towards the end of it, you're really going a lot faster. And then you follow it up with like active walking or an easy jog. So say maybe you start your strides and you're doing 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then you walk for 45 seconds or 40 seconds. Keep it like on the minute of what you're doing, as you get a little stronger, but you never want to take them more than like 20 or 30 seconds. But just that brief little recovery between those strides will help you as well. One of my most favorite things to do is like fartleks, which work on kind of like speed and strength. It's just like child's play. So a good one on that is like you run for a minute and then you follow it by an easy minute, or you could do, and then once you kind of increase that or do 30 seconds and then 30 seconds, or it could be like, when I get to that tree, I'm going to run quick to the next tree or a fire hydrant, and you just play with it and you can have fun. So fartleks are really great ways to do that. You can also look at hills. You can find a short little hill or a longer little hill, and you can work of starting off really hard going up the hill, ease into it, and then finish up at the top, walk back down. Find different ways to do. There's overpasses. There's not a lot of hills around here. So sometimes you can use a garage, if it's early in the morning, you can go downtown Naperville and you can run, around those little garages, and you can have a little fun of going, stronger up the hill. Say I'm going to do it, 8 times and, too easy, too moderate, too hard, too fast, too easy, and then, repeat or go back down. So up the ladder, back down the ladder, going easy, moderate, hard, fast, then fast, hard, medium, easy. So you could do something like that. So those are, just different types of workouts that you can use that can kind of help you with building your stamina and pace and keeping your workouts interesting.
That sounds great. Thank you. We do have a few more questions, but why don't you go ahead and continue with what you've prepared, and we'll take a break for some more questions in a little bit.
Okay. One thing is that when you are getting ready to go out, a lot of times you got to think about fueling yourself, making sure you're well hydrated. I always think of like run faster foods. Think of foods. I call them like brainy foods, because remember, our brain uses like 25% of everything we eat. So we want to make sure that we are eating well and that we're hydrating well, because I always say hydrated muscles are happy muscles. So you can always use like a little handheld, something like this, or just a little regular. Make sure you're well hydrated. I always say, you want to make sure that your pee does not look like Big Bird. And that is something that's super important when you go out. There is such a huge difference if you are hydrated and well fueled to go out. Nutrition plays 70% of the game, and so we have to pay good attention to that. If we eat good, we feel good, we're going to have a good run. If we eat bad, we're going to feel bad, and we're probably not going to have that great of a run. Sometimes, when we're thinking about our motivation, we feel tired, we feel fatigue, and we can't figure it out. So sometimes when you look back at your runs, think about what's gone on in life, what's gone on during the day, and just make note of it, and then try and figure that out of what it is, and you'll be able to get back in to what your workout is. The biggest thing you don't want to do is think about that you have to make it up. Just put an X over it, or like I said, go out, take a nice little walk, figure you got something in. Something is better than nothing. So even if you're feeling like there's not a lot of time, just, get out there so you can try and remain consistent. You can try and, keep yourself going towards those goals and those little rewards that you've set for yourself. Stretching and rolling is something that you don't want to forget. We can all be really good about having all the intentions, and so we can buy all of the good stuff. The roller, you can have like a trigger point ball that really is deep inside. One of my favorite things is, and it looks as old as it is, which is a stretch band, so that it can help me stretch. I think because I am was a dancer more than a runner for most of my life, I love stretching, so that's something that I love, this little stretch thing. But if you don't normally stretch, and if you stretched and rolled for 10 days in a row, I can guarantee, well, I shouldn't say guarantee, but you will notice a difference, and your runs will feel better. You will feel better. Your muscles are going to feel better working on that hydrating. So warm up or cool down. Think about when you're running, we're all going forward. We sit at the computer, we talk, we do a lot of different stuff. We're always here. So when we get ready to go, think about doing some side bends, getting yourself together, doing some toe touches, some big kind of like windmills to get ourselves ready, some big hip circles, to get ready. Or even when we come back, doing some, walking lunges and like just twist and twist, or just throwing our arms up and just kind of like walking and just kind of like moving around. That really helps. Doing some calf stretches, wiggling our toes, don't forget about stretching your feet, you know, just rolling the bottom of them so that they don't get stiff, kind of wiggling those toes. All that stuff before and after is really, really going to help you. Certain things that I call our successes for wardrobe when you're getting ready for running in the spring and the summer, I just wanted to kind of do is if a running vest. I'm a big, that really helps a lot, especially in the summer and the winter. If you're going out early in the morning or if you're going out late and it's a little cool, get that vest on, short sleeves. You can also use arm warmers. I think that is a key element. Light pair of gloves, ear wrap, visor or a hat are all things that are going to help you have that successful wardrobe. And sometimes it's just fun to dress crazy, you know, to do colors, you know, be bright, find different things. Somehow just feel good, feel happy when you get out there and you run. So, you know, those are fun things to do. Sometimes just wearing, you know, different colored socks, doing something fun like that. So you want to look at that when you're out there. Everyone's training journey is different. Everyone's run story is different. We all have a different why we want to run or why we are setting ourselves for a goal. And I think that those are fun things to share and to meet and to never think that running is all about a particular pace. Everybody's got, when it comes to whether it's 5K, 10K, you know, half marathon, a marathon, whether it's just wanting to learn to run 30 minutes, you know, everybody's journey there is different, but it's success because you're all going to get there. And I think that's the most important thing to think about is that when you're starting off, and even as we continue to run, think about that running story. Think about where you are and what you've achieved, because a lot of what we've achieved is going to help us in so many other areas. I have learned that so much in my running. Strong, happy, and fully able. Everybody is. We just need to be able to find that in all the different ways that we can do. Have a plan, find your goal, and it doesn't have to mean that you're signing up for a race. It could be, you know what, I want to be able to run. I live X and I want to be able to run here, and maybe you're going to, you know, find some restaurant that you really like and then you're going to Uber back home or something, you know, or I really wanted to run the Wheaton-Warrenville path and I want to go out 5 miles and back 5 miles and I want to do that by fall. You know, think of fun little things to do. Think of creating something fun, like a fun relay or a fun scavenger hunt, and you can do that with friends. Think of different things to do, and that's one thing that's going to truly help you keep that motivation going and going on. I think that's it that I have. If there's any other questions.
Yes, there definitely are a couple more questions. Someone's asking, what's a good way to look for a good race to run to get involved with?
First off, it should be based on what's good for you and if you have family. Is it something, do you want it to be local? Or sometimes with my bigger races, I will look at different communities that maybe have interest me, and do they have a race there? Is there something that maybe you want to use it as a family vacation? You go and there's something that you want to do. See how it is. If it's your very first race, a lot of times I say keep it local so that you can sleep in your own bed, especially if you know you don't travel well, you get nervous, you don't sleep. And those are all probably new things that we're all going to be coming up with. But look at something like that. See if some friends are doing it. There are so many local running groups and chapters. See what they're doing. Maybe there's a cause that you're very passionate about. I know that, one thing that's very dear to my heart is pediatric cancer. So that is something that if there's a race or something like that, that's how I actually got involved with running, is I got involved with Team in Training when I was living in Seattle. And so that's how I started running. So those are all ways that you can kind of like find your race. Find out what your why is, why you want to sign up for that, or if it's just something close, like I said, and then go from there.
Someone else comments they like to run 5Ks, but feel kind of slow. How might a person improve their time?
So take the word slow out of you for your pacing. Great ways to do that is, like I said, work on strides before and after. Think of little landmarks when you're out there doing your runs. Maybe you are just staying at one little pace that you're always running, that comfortable pace. Start an experiment. What does fast look like? So if you go fast, but still being able to have a controlled breath, what does that feel like? Start from one mailbox, go to the other, and do that for a while. Once that becomes a little easier, then like, okay, I'm going to go to, not two mailboxes, but maybe I'm going to go to the mailbox and maybe there's like a little tree, or I'm, going to go, just part way, like a few little steps before, or, it can be from driveway to driveway, or it could just be, from, down the top of your driveway to the bottom of your driveway, or you can go to a parking lot and you can use parking spaces and you can work on that. So that would be something. Do the fartlek, like I said, running a little harder, for a few minutes and then going and then building up with that.
Okay, great. Thank you. How can women stay safe running outdoors on a trail? Do you have any recommendations for that?
So definitely always make sure that someone knows where you are. If you can, I would say carry your phone. I would say don't use headphones if you're on the trail. That's something very important. And then know what that trail is. And, kind of like the area. Are you familiar with that? And of course, not running at night, picking out, when it's good and, having someone that's there. And then, there's like little mace things or a little loud. Nathan also just came out with a siren thing that you can just pull, like the tab, having something like that on you. And then just, make sure that, like I, dressed modestly, that it wouldn't be anything that would really cause someone to really want to look or go. That would be my thing.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good advice. Someone else is asking, what is a good running program if the focus is to lose weight?
That's the hard one. It kind of goes back to making sure that you're eating the best diet that you can. That's so hard because it depends on what it is. I think walking and running, if you are being consistent, you are eating the best diet, which means, thinking about all of the good food groups. And sometimes I've done a talk about sugar. 1 teaspoon equals 4 grams of sugar. So if you look at the number of grams of sugar and then know about the servings and you kind of divide, you're going to see how many teaspoons and you can kind of be really surprised. So just kind of looking at something like that. But if you are consistent with your running and walking and finding like a program with that and really trying to, keep yourself well hydrated and just finding a diet, I think you're going to be fine. Is there any one exact program that's best for losing weight? I haven't heard of one, and I've never heard of registered dietitian ever say that this type of running program or, doing these type of intervals is going to be a guaranteed weight loss.
Okay, great. Thank you. Someone else has mentions, when I used to run in the past, I would get shin splints or side stitches. Any tips to avoid those issues?
Sure. So shin splints, without, being the doctor or whatever, a lot of that can come from if you've got tight calves, and you don't have that range of motion that's back there, your shins can take place. Dehydration is something that has been talked about with shin splints. Making sure you're in the right shoes is really, really important. A lot of times the first sign of that is if you've worn your shoes out. Something that, like I always say, if my feet are a little more tired than they normally are after a run, and as you get going, you'll kind of know. Or if I can't remember the last time I bought shoes, are signs, different things that come up, maybe are signs of, looking at the shoes and seeing what is there. Sometimes it could be running form, but that's just something that, you would want to talk with, like a physical therapist or, someone of that. Heel striking can be something that's on there, and that would just be working on run form. But again, kind of seeking more medical advice on that. You never really want to make drastic changes without having that professional that's in that proper scope of practice.
Sure, thank you. Let me just remind our attendees, if you want to submit a question, go ahead and do that. There is one more here in the queue. Do people need to schedule an appointment for a fitting for shoes, or can they just come into the store?
They can just come into the store. And we used to have fittings, scheduled appointments. We do not have that. We are able to let people just come in and have appointments. So that's really nice. Yeah.
Great. And is there anything else involved with that besides you talked about like heel strikes or checking stride? Is there anything else involved with that for fitting shoes?
Oh, no. Coming in and making sure that you're in the right shoe is something that will just help in your how your foot is striking, and that can kind of go over. It's kind of hard to tell, but let's say that you are someone who supinates, which means you run more on the outside edge of your foot. If you have too much stability where the arch is and the medial's right here, it could throw you to the outside too much. That could be something that's going on. There's just different stuff. Maybe, you pronate and you don't have enough support on the inside. That's just, those would be two basic things. But, coming in and making sure you're in the right shoe. A lot of times people are not in the right size shoe. Too is something. And so that can cause some stress on the foot as well, because our foot swells, within the first 10 minutes of walking or running or doing anything like that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Karen. We really appreciate all the time and effort that you put into putting the presentation together and answering all of our questions. I will remind people that this program has been recorded, and so if you wish to see it again or recommend it to a friend, it will be available on the library's website within about a week. And I will also be sending out the website to Naperville Running Company, to all of those that have registered. If you would like that website, you can go ahead and contact the library at ce@wheatonlibrary.org. That's CE like community engagement at wheatonlibrary.org, and we'd be happy to send that out to you. So again, thank you very much to you, Caroline, and for all of your time.
You.
I don't see any more questions. So with that, we will end tonight. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Take care. I hope your running goes successfully this spring, and we will see you again soon. Good night.
Thank you.